the United States. Well, it just did. $6 billion, the longest cable-stayed span in North America, and total control over a trade route that moves a quarter of everything the US buys from Canada. Why would Canada pay for America's bridge? And what does it mean for the US? To answer that, you have to first look at the Ambassador Bridge. Opened in 1929, it still handles more trade than any other US-Canada link. Today, about 2.3 million trucks cross it every year, carrying everything from auto parts to medical supplies. That's roughly a quarter of all trade between the two countries, worth hundreds of billions of dollars. On a typical weekday, the bridge processes over 10,000 commercial vehicles, creating one of the most vital and most fragile bottlenecks in North America's supply chain. And fragility is the problem. The Ambassador is just 4 lanes wide. Congestion is routine, personal vehicles wait about 20 minutes, while commercial trucks can spend anywhere from 10 to 32 minutes inching forward. For an industry built on just-in-time delivery, every delay means millions lost. And making matters worse, this critical artery isn't owned by the US or Canada. For decades, the bridge was controlled by billionaire Manuel "Matty" Maroon, whom Forbes once called the best monopoly you've ever heard of. After his death in 2020, his son Matthew took over, inheriting not just a money machine, but also a liability. In February 2022, the Freedom Convoy blockade shut the bridge down for 6 days, halting billions in goods and dealing what Maroon himself called a black eye to the crossing. The truth is simple. One aging, privately owned bridge has been carrying the weight of 2 nations' trade, and it's no longer enough. By the early 2000s, it was obvious the Ambassador Bridge couldn't carry the future of US-Canada trade. If the problem was so obvious, why didn't the US just build a new one? While the need for a new crossing was clear, American politics kept stalling it. Michigan legislators blocked votes, lobbyists poured millions into campaigns, and the private owners of the Ambassador Bridge fought bitterly to protect their monopoly. After years of deadlock, Canada made a stunning decision. It would pay for everything, even the American on-ramps. So in 2012, Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Michigan Governor Rick Snyder announced the deal. Land acquisition, highway connections, customs facilities, even the American on-ramps to Interstate 75. Snyder bypassed his own state legislature to make it happen, calling the project essential to Michigan's economy. Harper called it visionary and a celebration of friendship between the two nations. Ottawa then created the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority with a single mandate: deliver the Gordie Howe International Bridge. The following year, Canadian negotiators secured a rare Buy American Act waiver, ensuring that both US and Canadian steel could be used, critical since Canada was footing the bill. Even then, opposition didn't end. Manuel Maroon, the billionaire owner of the Ambassador Bridge, poured more than $30 million into ballot measures and lawsuits to stop it. His efforts stretched all the way to the US Supreme Court. But one by one, those challenges failed, and by 2016, the project was legally unstoppable. At first, the bridge was priced at $3.8 billion. Pandemic delays, labor shortages, and inflation have since pushed the cost to nearly $5.7 billion. But Canada pressed ahead, determined not only to build the bridge, but to control it. All tolls will be collected on the Canadian side, with revenues expected to hit $100 million a year by 2030. Ottawa plans to recover its investment over 3 decades. In short, Canada didn't just step in where the US failed. It took ownership of America's busiest trade corridor, and in doing so, bought itself enormous leverage over North American commerce. And what Canada set out to build wasn't just another crossing, it's a record-breaking mega-project. So what exactly did Canada buy with this $6.4 billion? The Gordie Howe International Bridge stretches 2.5 kilometers, 1.6 miles, across the Detroit River, carrying 6 lanes of traffic plus pedestrian and cycling paths. At its heart is an 853-meter main span, the longest cable-stayed bridge in North America, and among the top 10 longest anywhere in the world. Holding it up are two colossal towers rising 220 meters, 722 feet into the air. Their curved design nods to the shape of a hockey stick, a tribute to the Canadian legend whose name the bridge carries. Beneath these two towers, foundations plunge nearly 30 meters into bedrock, each drilled shaft able to withstand more than 15,000 tons of force. From those towers, 216 stay cables fan out in perfect symmetry, tying the bridge deck to its supports. The longest stretches nearly 450 meters, thicker than a person's arm and packed with bundles of high-tension steel strands. Together, they form a lattice strong enough to hold thousands of vehicles at once. The deck itself is made up of 112 prefabricated segments, each about the size of a small house. Construction crews used an unbalanced cantilever method, building outward from each tower, one segment at a time, until the two sides finally met above the river in 2024. By working entirely from the deck, cranes avoided disrupting one of the busiest shipping lanes in the Great Lakes. But this project is more than just a bridge. On either side of the river rise two of the largest border facilities in North America. The US port of entry covers 170 acres, with 36 inspection lanes and a direct highway connection to I-75. Canada's port spans another 130 acres, with 24 lanes feeding directly into Highway 401. Together, they create a seamless flow for the nearly $760 billion in trade exchanged annually between the two nations. At its peak, more than 2,300 workers were on site, representing thousands more across the supply chain. The project has already won awards for safety and sustainability, recognition of a build designed not just for today, but for the next 100 years. The result is the most ambitious border crossing ever built between the US and Canada, a $6.4 billion feat of engineering that redefines how two countries connect. It's an engineering triumph, but what really matters is how this bridge will reshape trade. If the Gordie Howe fixes the choke point, what happens to the old Ambassador Bridge and the people stuck with it? Because while Canada is building one of the most ambitious crossings in North America, truckers and automakers were still stuck with the daily reality of the Ambassador Bridge. In 2024, 2.3 million trucks crossed the Ambassador Bridge. But truckers are increasingly frustrated with its high tolls and outdated design. Many are already shifting north to the Blue Water Bridge at Port Huron, which has seen record traffic because it's cheaper and more efficient. That inefficiency hits hardest in Detroit. With no direct highway connection to I-75, more than 1,000 trucks a day rumble through residential neighborhoods in southwest Detroit, despite ordinances banning them overnight. For automakers who depend on just-in-time delivery, every detour through city streets is money burned. The Gordie Howe is designed to fix this. Its direct highway-to-highway link, fully automated toll collection, and dedicated processing zones for hazardous and oversized loads will pull heavy trucks off city streets and move them across the border faster than ever. Officials say the time savings for just-in-time deliveries are invaluable. But efficiency is only part of the story. With all tolls collected on the Canadian side, Ottawa now controls the cash flow and the operations. Does that give Canada real leverage over America's busiest trade corridor? In effect, Canada didn't just build the bridge, it put itself in charge of the tolls and operations at a crossing that channels hundreds of millions in daily trade. And the timing couldn't be more complex. In April 2025, the US imposed 25% tariffs on automobiles and auto parts, hitting Windsor hard. Bloomberg reports that truck crossings have already plunged since those tariffs began, raising questions about whether the Gordie Howe will open into a trade war that suppresses the very traffic it was built to handle. Meanwhile, competition is heating up. The Ambassador Bridge still stands, but the Gordie Howe can handle 1.5 times its capacity. With modern facilities, the old bridge simply can't match. What's really at stake here isn't just traffic flow, it's economic leverage. Canada has invested $6.4 billion to ensure that the future of US-Canada trade flows through infrastructure it owns. The question is whether that control becomes a tool for deeper cooperation or a fault line in a fragile trade relationship. When it finally opens, the Gordie Howe International Bridge won't just be another link across the Detroit River. It will create a seamless 1,500-mile trade corridor stretching from Montreal all the way to Florida, directly connecting Highway 401 in Canada to Interstate 75 in the US. It's the missing piece in one of North America's busiest trade routes, built to carry the region's traffic not just today, but for decades to come. Traffic through the corridor is projected to rise from 18,500 vehicles a day in 2016 to over 26,000 by 2025. And the new bridge is designed to absorb that growth without the bottlenecks of the Ambassador. Canada's 30-year public-private partnership with Bridging North America ensures long-term Canadian control, with toll revenues expected to pay back the multi-billion-dollar investment over time. So when will this bridge actually open? Construction delays have already pushed the opening from late 2024 into September 2025 and now possibly into 2026. The bridge structure itself is nearly complete, about 98% finished, but the sprawling border facilities on both sides still need months of work. The Canada Border Services Agency requires 9 months to prepare its systems and staff, and US Customs has yet to confirm when they'll be ready. So while the cables and concrete stand ready, the reality is that it may be another year before the first cars and trucks cross this bridge. And that raises the bigger question. Canada has invested $6.4 billion to build and control America's busiest trade crossing, a bold gamble designed to secure the future of continental commerce. The question now is simple. Will this bridge deliver on its promise of efficiency and cooperation, or will politics, tariffs, and delays turn it into a $6.4 billion headache? What do you think? Was Canada right to pay for America's bridge, or will this mega project backfire? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more MegaBuilds stories. Imagine if Canada built and owned the